We have to start thinking about walking the walk and talking the talk. Yeah. And so that's when I came up with this idea. If I can figure out a way to make 100% commercial, scalable hemp paper, our illegitimate little industry gets to be a model to the entire rest of the world, that we actually put our hearts and our minds into action. We can actually move mountains and change things.
Welcome to another episode of Cultivate. This is a show about you and your journey in the cannabis industry. It's moving fast, but there's room for everyone. Buckle up as we bring you the people and the technology that are blazing the trail.
Another episode of Cultivate. We've got Drew, Erica, myself, Scott, and we're here live at NCIA in San Jose.
We are. So this is exciting for me because we met at previous shows. Mm-hmm. And I noticed people that have got a lot of energy and are coming from the right place, and you were representing something else at the time. And then this thing happened. Can you talk a little bit about your new gig and why you're so excited?
Yeah, so I had previously been working for a vaporizer company, one of the biggest ones in both the nicotine and cannabis spaces, and knew that I wanted to still be involved in the cannabis industry, and parted ways with the company, but was trying to find out what my mission was. And literally 2 weeks later, just had a happenstance conversation with a friend of mine who was getting her doctorate degree and never even talked about what it was in, but she just got her dissertation done in a hardbound book, and I opened it up and I go, holy crap, you were doing a thing about hemp paper and why we need to switch everybody to stop using trees to hemp paper. And I said, you know I'm into cannabis. Why have you never told me this before? And that's when the light bulb clicked. She didn't understand that hemp and cannabis were related, and didn't understand that even having a conversation with me made any sense. And that's when the light bulb went off, that hemp paper has been made for a lot of years. Right. But right now, it's not being made in 100% because it's very, very, very hard to do. It's very, very expensive to do. And so I thought, the reason why we're not selling wrapping paper in bookstores in Berkeley right now is because people still don't understand that you can't roll up a piece of hemp paper and smoke it. And I don't want to take the time or, frankly, the millions of dollars it's going to take to educate an entire consumer industry. I'm going to focus on the industry where I don't have to tell anybody the difference between hemp and cannabis here. And the other part of it is cannabis. We have such a healing product. I mean, this is a medicine we're selling to people, but we're selling it in one of the worst responsible ways we can sell it. It is packaged by gobs of garbage that is tree paper that we are wasting. And I understand a lot of it is because of regulations that we have and childproofness and all that other kind of good stuff. But we have to start thinking about walking the walk and talking the talk. Right. And so that's when I came up with this idea. If I can figure out a way to make 100% commercial, scalable hemp paper within a nominal cost increase over tree paper, because that's the very next question. Great, you do hemp. How much does it cost? And then focus on the cannabis industry and get the entire industry for all their packaging, labeling, everything that you can use paper for, even all the way down to I'm going to make toilet paper for the dispensary restrooms. That's how granular I'm getting about this. I want us to literally stop using every stick of trees we can. And then once we do that, our illegitimate little industry gets to be a model to the entire rest of the world, that we actually put our hearts and our minds into action. We can actually move mountains and change things. And so then we can be a model to everybody else and get the entire world to stop using trees.
So you pose a question in your remarks of the difference in cost between hemp paper and tree paper. Mm-hmm. And my assumption, my guess, because I haven't been educated on this, I should know more than the average person about this, but I don't.
Can't know everything, Drew.
Right, I know it's tough. Let's fit all that into this big melon. But
it is big.
What when you started this conversation, what was the difference, ballpark, in the cost of doing something with hemp paper versus traditionally tree-based paper?
Unknown for two reasons. Right now, none of the paper that you can buy from other companies like Tree Free or Greenfield, they're not 100% hemp. They're handmade mostly as well, but they're only 25% hemp, and then they're 25% or they're 75% trees. They say they're non-virgin trees, but who cares? They're trees, right? So that's why nobody's done this before on a commercial basis. There's one Chinese company that's claiming if you want to get on Alibaba and buy 100% quote unquote hemp paper receipt rolls, for example, they're claiming they can sell them to you, but I can't get this Chinese company to really authenticate that it's 100% hemp. So there's no cost that, like, I'm building the market right now. So with no volume and no free raw materials, and I mean that because I've also found a way to use both pre-extraction and post-extraction waste from CBD extractors to also make my paper out of.
Which they typically pay to have somebody haul away,
Yes, because they have tons and tons of this, and it is trash, both on the front and the back end of the extraction process. If they don't get rid of it, it starts to mold, and that creates an environmental hazard, and that's very expensive to get rid of. So they have two options: let it sit there and wait for somebody to come to them, or get rid of it. And so a lot of these people are getting rid of it. I know a company that's paying storage fees right now to store it until it gets to the point where they have to get rid of it, just waiting for people to come to them. And they're willing to offer it to me for free.
So should they just send theirs to you and we'll give them an address today?
I will go pick it up.
Okay.
I will help them with this. I am helping them with a problem, and they're helping me, because if I can get as many of my COGS down, my cost of goods, drive it down to zero, I can get within parity to tree paper as quickly as I can, which helps all of us. If that company can help me sell my paper for more of a cost that makes it more efficient for this industry to get into it, then by all means, I'm going to help them and go help get it off of their land so that I can bring it into my process.
You said something really interesting. You're creating a market or a category. So we've been doing the same thing with two-way humidity control.
Which is why I was very interested in working with you guys.
You show the problem, and then you have the solution to it, and you build a category, and you become the market leader in that category. What are some of the challenges you faced creating this problem and then having a solution for it?
First challenge, I'm a chick.
Yep.
Ooh, talk about that.
So in this industry, just being a female, so when I first got into the industry working for the vaporizer company, about 40% of the business owners in the industry were women. That has now fallen down to under 30%.
Wow.
And I have been...
Do you know why that is?
Because it's very hard to get men to take us seriously. And I don't mean that in a mean, derogatory way, but my company is called Tiny E-Paper because I'm a very small in stature woman. And when I come and talk in front of a big group of men, I do not get looked at the same. I don't get the same questions. I don't get the same audience participation. I get patted on the head and told I'm cute. That is a problem that this industry needs to get over.
Well,
so that was the first challenge.
Not only this industry, but that's just a whole
lot of industries
conversation that needs to improve. And
so that was honestly
podcast.
challenge number one. Challenge number two is I have a really out of the box idea that a lot of people have tried and thought that they could do and failed. There's a reason why nobody is doing 100% pure commercial grade hemp paper. And number two, a reason why nobody's selling it to the cannabis industry. I can't tell you how many times I was told I couldn't do this.
And was it a technical thing, or was it what were the reasons given that you couldn't do it? Cost
First of all, is
raw
because
materials?
there are people that have tried and not gotten too far, and because of the hand making process, thought that that's as far as they could go. Hemp is a really, 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 really difficult product to work with. It is the strongest organic matter on earth. And because of that, it is very, very difficult and it can be expensive to work with. So my other challenge was finding the right partners. And I had to find people that would A, listen to me and listen to me seriously. And then B, I had to convince them of my mission and that it could actually be done. And fortunately, I'm going to tout one of my own skills here. I'm very good at networking. I can go up and talk to anybody and anybody.
Gathering that right now.
And so I was very fortunate to find the right people to work with and the right partners. And because of that and having the right people believe in me right away, and they're all men. That is what helped propel me and get me further. And when I can start getting people on board my team that can help substantiate what I'm saying, it's now not just me. I now have a team, and that's partly what helped. And then doing research. I can't tell you how many times when I'm talking about the properties of hemp and why it's better than paper and cultivating it and all this other kind of stuff, people are like, "Wow, you're really smart." I'm like, yeah. It happens. It happens. I'm doing this because I know a lot about it. I did a ton of research and...
Well, you're passionate about it.
Yes, that's where it comes from, is the passion.
Very apparent.
Yeah,
so
thank you.
Are there other materials that you can use with hemp in your process? I know your goal is to have 100% hemp product. Have you considered using partial hemp product and partial, what do they call it?
Post-consumable.
Yeah.
So great question. Trees, absolutely not. It completely distorts and dilutes my message of getting off of trees and saving our environment. One of the main reasons why I'm so adamant about it is we literally have now crossed a threshold of the amount of people on Earth and the amount of trees left on Earth and our paper production requirements. We do not have as many trees as we need to supply all the paper, literally, for all the humans on Earth. So we really have no choice unless we want to decide how to breathe without oxygen. We have to stop using trees at some point for everything.
Right.
So that's really where the passion about not using trees. However, as far as other products, there's 2 other products that I'm seriously looking at. First is flax. Flax fibers are very similar, same with bamboo, very similar to hemp fibers as well, and also a little bit easier to break down. They don't have the same cellulose and lignin components, so just not to get too geeky on you, but
This is good,
something
though.
we have to break down.
We have some very smart people
Yes.
that watch this podcast
Good. We'll geek
and
out for
send
just a
us
second,
questions that we have really no idea how to
Yeah.
answer. So this will be fun for
Yeah.
you. When
So
you
the
go
other
through all
part
this
of it
emails.
is the cousin plant to the hemp plant. Right now, because of it being federally illegal, its stalks literally have such low levels of THC that it can qualify as not CBD, but it doesn't qualify as a psychoactive under the current rules. I can use the waste from THC extractors just like I use from CBD extractors, as long as
okay.
they federally legalize, because right now they are required to get rid of that garbage.
Right.
Required. So those are the 2 main things that I'm looking into, starting to incorporate in. I'm also using, like for things like the things like tissues and toilet papers and things like that. Sticks are not very comfortable to wipe on your butt.
No.
No, I've tried to quit because it's truly counterproductive.
So, however, I'm going to start already introducing things like the hemp fibers that you make T-shirts and things out of. That's what I'm going to be cutting in to make different types of papers, depending on the softness and things that I need.
Well, and I would expect if you become the Goliath in hemp paper that I believe you
the
will
hemp paper
become
queen.
of hemp paper. I think in the process you're going to become connected to people in a lot of different industries, textiles, building products, other uses for this raw material that you're going to become sort of the marketplace for as you develop this business. So timing wise, how far is the horizon on this dream? Where are you in the process?
This is the really exciting part. So I am here at NCIA to officially launch my company. I have my first ever booth with my new business partner. I have product that I'm going to have to show and sample and give away. I will be able to start taking orders once I can get my merchant services account up and running, because as a hemp paper company, I am still seen as a CBD company.
Yep.
So those are some of the other challenges that I'm running into in just some of the back end stuff. So there are some little logistical things that I'm working on, but as of tomorrow, I will be fully launched and ready to start talking about taking orders and working on the next projects.
So then once you get orders, how does the supply chain look for this type of thing? How does it, I mean,
That's what I was curious about.
I mean, how do you, because we could start a lemonade stand tomorrow, but if we don't have enough lemons lined up or enough sugar lined up or enough water lined up, we're going to have a very brief run in the lemonade business.
Well,
so
you'd sell a lot of lemonade.
we would sell, I mean, everyone would at least try our lemonade. I guarantee that.
So I have been setting myself up and working on scalability from day one, because I knew what the possible impact could be. And so I already have some things that are in the pipeline that are going to make it very easy for me to automatically switch on the switch. And I'm looking at some other production facility operations in Europe, in some South American countries. So I'm already sticking feelers out and having phone calls and making connections that I'm already looking at a global scale.
So have you looked into, I know that when I think of renewable energy, when renewable energy became a thing, the government went to great lengths in order to subsidize the solar business, the wind energy business, the hydro business.
LED lighting.
LED lighting. I mean, there's a lot of things that, did you look at possibly getting Uncle Sam involved in helping you?
Absolutely. In fact, I have had a conversation with Dana Rohrabacher about this as well, and I liken it.
Former congressman from
Yes.
Southern Cal, probably your district.
I believe so.
Not
actually.
far. You're Long Beach, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but you're former congressman.
Got to hang out and smoke a joint with him and talk with him about this for about an hour. And I was blowing his mind because not even he, I can't tell you how many aha moments I have because of thinking out of the box about trash and really what to do with this paper and things like that.
Yeah.
So very much so. And I proposed this idea to him. I really liken what I'm doing with hemp paper to LED lighting. People paid up to 400% more of an increase in cost for LED lighting. And then the government would subsidize on top of that because we knew how important it was to the environment and to everything else in the ecosystem of that. I liken that very much to what hemp paper will do.
Yeah.
Where if I believe people will, and I've done my market research to know this, people will pay up to 30% more for my hemp paper. I'm not going to have to do that because I already know that, but I've already been told they are willing to pay up to 30% because they understand what comes with that. Right. And I bring a value proposition message to any company that works with me as well, which is another thing. But if a government can subsidize any major corporation that turns up to 75% or more of all of the paper usage over, that's absolutely something that I thought of.
So if I'm interested, if I'm watching the podcast or listening, and I am really excited about the proposition that you're making, how do I get in contact? Where do I go? Where do we find the connection with your company? How do we become partners?
There are two ways. So I'm going to be launching 2 different websites within the next week. The first website is going to be the first part of how people can actually get involved with this, and they don't have to wait to go buy my business cards or buy my paper. So I am starting a social activism campaign with this called the Hemp Pledge. And it's not just about having people change the way we look at paper and switching over their paper. It's about becoming activists for this plant. And so it involves once you take the Hemp Pledge, and I'm going to have the Hemp Pledge website is going to be the first one that launches tomorrow. And so that's the first way people can get involved and learn more about what we are doing, what our mission is. Yeah. They can take the Hemp Pledge. It's going to include, coming up in the next week or so, a list of things over a month-long period that they can do as advocates to help educate and speak to their, go talk to a family member about a hemp product. Any hemp product. It doesn't even need to be hemp paper. Let's just talk about the plant holistically and get a tribe. And this is how we start a movement, and that's actually what I'm trying to do. So then the second way, once I get tinyepaper.com up and running to where we can place orders and things like that, that's how they can get involved if they want to actually start buying paper.
So right now there is information online. I did look up a few things. There's a placeholder for Tiny ePaper. So you're going to flesh that out. That's going to become active with a lot more activity than what's available now.
Yep.
And the Hemp Pledge will be the activist side of it.
Yep.
Could you be any more excited about it?
I might if I were twins. Yeah, but that's really you are literally seeing a passion. It's not just a passion. I don't have a passion for paper. I have a passion for this plant. And I have also a passion for cannabis. This is where my whole drive for this came. I went through a very big weight loss. And I did it with the help of cannabis. I lost almost 100 pounds. And
seriously?
People kind of look and say, that's first of all weird because you look like you've always been tiny, but that's not true. And second, cannabis is supposed to make you eat. Yeah. You're supposed to smoke and then go eat a pie. I can't believe it helps you lose weight, but it really did.
Yeah.
And so that's part of my passion from this it is a part of my medicine, and it's a part of my daily ritual, as well as now I get to be on this mission as part of my career path as well.
When did you get into cannabis?
I got into cannabis in my mid-20s. I was a late bloomer. And the reason I got in, I became friends with a couple people that were really important to my life at the time, and they were big advocates. And they first started educating me on medical benefits, and then they forced me to read a book about what THC and CBD do in the body, and literally said, we think this is going to be great for you, but we don't want you to be naive about it. So we're not going to let you have any of our stash until you do some research on it, and then let us know. Are you still into it? I said, yes.
That's great. I don't think we've ever interviewed anyone on this podcast that said, I just wanted to get stoned. It's always been, because they had a family member that was sick and used cannabis to get over that sickness, or had a drug addiction to opiates or something else that used cannabis, or used it to lose weight, or whatever it might be. There's always some cause or reason that comes from a medicinal side of things.
And I would say with 95% of all of the companies in this building, even if you were to ask any of their business owners, why did you start this company? If they told you it was to make $1 billion, hardly any of them will say that. That's how you know they're not going to be there that long.
Right.
Every single person in this industry, for the most part, has a passion behind it. They have a goal, they have a mission, they have a reason for this.
Right.
And so that's one of the reasons why I love working in this industry.
That's one of the most appealing things about the cannabis industry to me is the altruism. There is an ethic, there is a culture.
Absolutely.
It's not the stoner culture.
Nope.
It's not and it's not that we would exclude there's still some stoner people out there, but man, more and more people that I run into, it's like people that are looking for very specific outcomes to an issue with insomnia or anxiety or inflammation, pain, a whole host of things on the medical side that people are talking about in terms of addressing all sorts of different kinds of cancer.
Absolutely.
As the research builds on this and as the research catches up to the altruism, so the altruism is what I'm really turned on about in this business, because people genuinely care about each other and about, when you talk so eloquently about the planet and about doing what's right for sustainability in the long term. And sustainability is, if it hasn't already, I know it's sort of old news in California, but to the rest of the world, there's a lot of other areas that are just catching up. There's a lot of other countries that are just catching on. I just think it's fascinating. There's an ethic in this business, and there's an honesty about this business that is really counterintuitive if you come from the old stigma.
Absolutely.
Where you think it's all a bunch of dopers that are, doing nasty things. You're missing the point.
Yep. And I'm even working with other companies on their marketing and things like that, to where let's stop using green all over your logo. It doesn't have to have pot leaves all over it. It doesn't have to have Rastafarian. It doesn't have to say ganja. Like, we can start taking ourselves out of these bubble boxes that we have put ourselves into, really, to be honest about it. Like
that inadvertently prolong the stigma.
Absolutely.
Instead of solving it.
Yeah, so I'm trying to work with companies to class ourselves up a bit here and show that we are big, we are companies. We are business people. We just happen to work in a cannabis industry, but that's not what defines us. We are business people first.
Couldn't be more happy for you to I mean, I'm sure you're picking this up from wherever you're watching it, but the fact that Erica is so full of passion and spirit about this idea and about the commitment that you have to making this thing work. I mean, I'm thrilled for you.
Thank you.
I didn't have any idea that you were going to be in the hemp business or the hemp paper business.
Neither did I.
When we first met. And frankly, I didn't even know what you were doing when we met. You were just somebody at a show that was full of passion and full of positivity, and grateful that we were able to connect and become friends. And now we get a chance to talk about this exciting idea on the Cultivate podcast.
Love it.
I have one last question that I like to ask everyone.
Okay.
If the people that are watching that want to get into the industry, whether it's to support it, be an activist or an advocate, or someone that wants to work in the industry, what advice would you give them?
So I get asked this question a lot, and I love it, because why would we answer this question different for our industry than any other? And so that's what I tell everybody. If you want to get into any industry, what do? You figure out what you're good at, you figure out what you like, and you go find companies that do that. That's the same thing here. Figure out what you like about cannabis. Figure out what drives you, what drives your passion. Go find a company doing that, and then go figure out how you can help them. Solve a problem. Solve your own problem first.
Yeah. Great.
That's awesome.
Good answer.
Thank you.
We're pretty thrilled to have you.
Thank you. I'm thrilled to be here.
Thanks for taking the time to be with us.
Cheers.
We're going to have a check-in from time to time to see how this is going, and we're certainly going to invite you back.
Awesome.
Yeah. Erica Halverson, Tiny E Paper Company. Pay attention. 100% hemp derived B2B paper.
Yep.
Business to business. You're
Changing the world one plant at a time.
Nice. Erica Halverson, thanks for being with
Thank
us.
you.
That's another episode of Cultivate, Boveda's podcast that brings you the people and the technology that are blazing a trail, truly blazing a trail in the cannabis industry. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.